Gifts with Heart.
Providing ideas for improving lives.
We show how to make gifts for someone special.
Promote community involvement.
Bring cultures together.
Build hope and compassion.
Build confidence.
Teach new skills.
I'm Susan Mullins.
I'm Rosalind Rose.
And this is Gifts with Heart.
On June 10th, at the Lowe's of Bunker Hill, the first Gifts with Heart Community Fair was held. Gifts with Heart is a nonprofit community service organization that provides gifts for children in need. Lowe's, Capital One, Jet Tools, Valspar Paint, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, and families joined together to help make gifts to be given to children in need during the holiday season. Gifts will be distributed in gift bags using artwork created by winners of our gift bag contest sponsored by the Green Sheet. People not only learned new skills by making the gifts, but also benefited from informative seminars on hurricane readiness, home improvement loans, creative design tips, and home safety.
First off, what we're going to talk about is some prep work that you need to have done before then, because without the proper prep work to get things taken care of first off, the overall project's not going to go as planned. 90% of all paint failures are due to improper surface preparation. So it's very important to make sure that all the necessary prep work on the exterior of the house is done before any painting project is continued. When we're talking about the prep work, we're discussing stuff like mold and mildew that you might find on the exterior of your house, any paint that might be peeling or flaking, anything like that that has to be scraped off in preparation for any priming that might need to get done later on. If you've got, let's say for example, some mold and algae growing on the exterior of your house, a good thing to start off with is to make sure you go over there and purchase some like Jomax and bleach, some sort of an exterior cleaner, and spray that with a pump sprayer on the outside of that house to make sure that you kill all that surface contaminants. Afterwards, you would go back and just rinse with a regular garden hose. You don't necessarily need to use a power washer all the time. And if you do use a power washer, make sure that if you've got the horizontal slats on your siding, that you're not going at an upward angle, because those power washers can strip that off in a heartbeat. So after the initial cleaning with the Jomax, and make sure you're getting all the mildew off, and just make sure that it dries. Now, if you have any chalky surfaces, like on the exterior of your house, you would want to make sure that those areas get primed, okay? Now, when we're talking about primers and paints are two different animals altogether. The primers are there to make sure that your top coat gets a good adhesion. Okay, a lot of people think primers, paints are all the same thing. They're not. Your primer is your sealer, and your top coat gives the protection necessary against the elements. When we're going to discuss about oil primers do a much better job of sealing those weathered surfaces, such as weathered wood, like this particular situation right here. If you've got even new wood, let's say you've got some new trim up there, anything with a lot of tannins in it, wax bleeds, fir, pine, cedar, have a lot of sap in it. Oil-based primers do a much better job of sealing those surfaces versus a latex primer. Now, a latex primer will do it, but it might take 4 or 5 coats. So an oil-based primer would be recommended for those type of situations. After that, then you can go over with your top coat. Now, if you've got any type of hardy board, James Hardy board, or concrete composite, instead of like the wood fiber press board siding, you would want to use a latex primer on. A good exterior latex primer will adhere to those concrete composite sidings a lot better. Not only that, but concrete composite siding has what they call alkaline, just like in concrete. Well, in the oil-based primers, you've got alkalids, and the combination of the two can have what they call a reaction, and it won't bond. It'll cause a primer failure on that end of it. So if you've got any kind of a James Hardy product or concrete composite, a latex, exterior latex primer would be the thing that you would want to go ahead and prime that with. Now, when we're discussing paints, there is no magic rule on, you know, what is better as far as you know, appearance and all that. But if you've got, let's say for example, well, let's just say the higher the sheen level that you have on the exterior of your house, the easier it is to clean. So for example, if you put a flat paint on the exterior of the house with horizontal sidings, it's not going to be as easy to clean as, let's say, a satin or a semi-gloss or a high gloss. So the higher the sheen level, the better resistance to mold and mildew that you're going to have. Majority of the people put either satin on the horizontal siding, and then on your trim work you could either go with a semi-gloss or a high gloss to kind of accentuate the exterior of that house. Now, the two products that we have here that I would recommend, number one would be your American Tradition exterior. This is a very 100% acrylic latex product, and you would want to have the best binder possible, and the binders is what's going to hold the paint to the exterior of the house once the liquids dry and the solids remain. The American Tradition exterior has 100% acrylic latex binder in there, which is going to allow for better adhesion on that. Also, one of the unique properties about latex is that it does expand and contract with the weather conditions. The exterior of your house is going to expand and contract just like with the seasons that we have. Now, if you have like an exterior oil-based paint on there, oil-based paints tend to get real brittle, okay? And they tend to amber in color over a period of time. With a 100% acrylic latex product, you're not going to have that ambering process like you normally would with an oil-based paint. The latex will retain its color properties. Also, it's going to expand and contract with that house. So over the seasons, you're not going to see the splits at the joints and the corners of the sides of the trim, and that's going to do a much better job. Now, this particular product, this Duramax, is fairly new on the market. It's been about a year out. The Duramax is different than any other paint out there on the market. Okay, the Duramax has what they call cross-link technology. This particular product is, number one, it's a self-priming, so there's no need to prime. You just basically scrape and paint. It also has what they call a triple biocide. Now, any good exterior paint is going to have a good mildewcide package in it, but this particular one has what they call a triple biocide, which means it protects against mold, mildew, and algae. Okay, so it covers all three spectrums in that regard. Now, when we're talking about the mildewcide package, that means that it will not allow that mildew, mold, or algae to penetrate through that paint film. Mold and algae will grow just about anywhere, especially down here with the humidity that we have. So it's a good idea to do some maintenance, maybe once or twice a year, to go out there with that Joe Max and bleach and go ahead and hit it at the side of the house to get rid of that. Because the mold and mildew and algae is not feeding on the paint, it's feeding on the dust and the moisture that adheres to the paint. This particular product also has what they call a cross-link technology. Now, the cross-link technology basically means that normal paint films, when they form, all the solid particles will form in a uniform fashion, okay, which is going to allow the ultraviolet rays to penetrate through. The cross-link technology does not allow that. It actually offsets the solid particles and literally reflects the ultraviolet rays back. So it makes for a lot longer lasting paint film, because the ultraviolet rays is what degrades the majority of paint films out there. This also has, not that we would need it today, but it also has a low temp application. You can paint down to 35 degrees with this paint, where normal paint you cannot do that. It also has early resistance to moisture. This particular paint has a 60% solid content, which is extremely high. With that solid content, that's going to give you a much thicker paint film. This particular paint is 3 times thicker than the normal paint film. Okay, and with that in mind, it'll also give you the ability to cover hairline cracks and gaps, and like your wood trims and stuff like that, it'll cover those. Now, if you've got a big split in the wood, something like that, it's not going to obviously cover that, but it will cover those hairline cracks. And the early resistance to moisture means that it gives you, with the low temp application, it gives you a longer time period in which you can paint. So with those two situations in mind, just make sure that number one, you do your prep work first. And you know, prep work is probably the most difficult part about it because it takes up 50 to 60% of the time. Painting is not the most difficult part of it, it's the prep work that's involved. But if you do your prep work and you do your job right at the very beginning, you're going to have a much longer lasting paint film on the house, and it's going to last you a lifetime. Thank you.